Good day and welcome back. While the realm's loading, I thought I'd fill you in some of the stuff in the last episode. We left off with where I was going to build, and we're going to disconnect real quick. And then the second question is what? Drawing some inspiration from a couple of places. One, we're right by that dark oak forest, so I kind of want to leverage the role playing of I'm harvesting what's in the dark oaks to kind of fuel my enterprises here next to the village, and to help supply a local mine. I've decided I'm going to do a mine instead of a quarry. I still need to decide on the location of that mine. I think just kind of around the side of that bend in the river, there's kind of an opening in the cracks and crevices, and I'll start to build there. What you're seeing on this screen is actually a slideshow of some of the inspirations. My great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather is Ebenezer Bryce, the Ebenezer Bryce that found Bryce Canyon. And after coming across the plains with the Latter-day Saint pioneers, he was requested to help establish the colonies up and down the Wasatch Front. He started originally in Salt Lake, and due to his wife's health, had to move further and further south to cleaner and cleaner air. Those of you that live in winter valleys are familiar with smog, or an inversion, where there's a temperature differential at the mountain peak height, or shortly above it, which traps in air and doesn't allow circulation, and so you get this really congested air in the valleys, and it takes rain to flush that out. So that poor weather resulted in his wife's health deteriorating, so they kept moving south. Along with that came assignments to help establish the communities up and down the Wasatch Front. And when they first came into a community, one of the very important parts of that was the lumber supply to be able to build these log cabins. In the first couple of communities he was assigned to establish, he built a very robust sawmill up in the mountains, and they would mill the lumber and haul it down to the communities, and sometimes they would drag the logs quite a ways out of the woods, and then the lumber mill would be closer to the communities they were building. And as he relocated several times, he actually designed a fairly mobile sawmill which he could take to his various assignments. And building off of that, I have captured some of his accomplishments. So this picture here that it just came on the screen is his home down near St. George. A very simple log cabin that's still standing, and one story, pretty rustic. So I plan to build that kind of as a first home. This is actually a paper mill, but I liked the style with the posing sizes. This is the rafters of the Pine Valley Church. This floor part is actually curved beams built after the manner of a boat. This is the exterior, and so that curved part comes up about where that peaked roof ends. So when you go inside, it looks like an upside-down boat. So I'm drawing inspiration from these historic pictures from the life of Ebenezer Bryce, and going to build a couple of buildings around that location to kind of recreate this role play. So the first building will be that Bryce log cabin that is down in southern Utah. I'm going to leverage this architecture in the rafters, primarily the bracing system there for that cambered roof. And he built it as an upside-down boat, this Pine Valley Chapel, because he was a shipbuilder back in Europe before coming to America. So he was a lot more versed in the structure of boats than he was in the structure of houses, as you can kind of see from this log cabin. So I want to capture some of that timber frame design in what'll be a bigger building. The outside will be based on this paper mill that is in Hanksville, I think. Inside that paper mill, we will have some of this timber structure I don't know that I'm going to capture much of the ceiling floor here for the actual boat structure. The details a little bit more than I'm versed with. I do want to capture some of this exterior double stair attributes. I'm not sure if I'll do it on the paper mill building or if I'll have a separate structure. A third building that will be a conglomerate of this will be a massive lumber mill that you can possibly grow trees in. So this is personal base built through the month of December, prior to Vast Dimensions Season 5. So I'm going to start with the Bryce log cabin and build that simple structure. And that will be starter house, bed, very minimal storage. Then I am going to build the paper mill building, and that will be a bigger storage and kind of housing some of the lumber operations and the road leading down into the mine. I plan to build some mine carts coming out of the mine so that the mining and the sending to sort kind of fits in with that. Next to the paper mill, I will do a open structure like some pictures in some lumber mills. I do not have any of those pictures in this slideshow. And that will kind of be the unload and some of the sort side of the inventory for this lumber mill. Now I may tack this architecture onto part of that paper mill, or I will do a third building that is that Pine Valley Chapel. So again, these buildings are going to be the functional pieces of a mine. The lumber mill component will be harvesting that dark oak forest just across the river from where we're at. And then these buildings will help reinforce that story that I am actively mining or actively harvesting that forest, which is also blazing a path through one of the thicker parts that will bridge between the vineyard and Vast Dimensions Season 5. So let me drop this slideshow down to a smaller size. So we'll bring it down here and put it in this corner. And we will leave this slideshow running through most of the recordings. Then as I'm actually going to jump over to the tour server and recap some of the location information I recounted. So jumping in the map. Here's the map. So in the realm, we're actually over here. Going to build here. And down around in here are some kind of cave areas. I might check around in here and make that the opening of the mine. From the opening of the mine, I will have minecart tracks that come over to here to store the results of the mine. I will have some bridges going across this water to harvest out parts of this dark oak forest, and that's going to kind of conveniently be a way to build a road through here as well. So I'll have harvesting out the wood, then some very robust bridges made from the plentiful lumber here to cut through this part. So after coming from the vineyard here, the road can wind through here a bit, and then as it hits this spot right here will be my personal base that carves this road through here to come out here at the start of Vast Season 5. So we'll see how this plays out, and this personal base will be very well stocked with the mining resources needed to harvest this forest. So with that recap, I will actually save this as its own movie and give a more proper goodbye here again, and I will start recording again as I start building on the realm. So thank you very much for your time, and I will provide links to sources for these images in the YouTube video description.